I was genetically blessed with a certain wiring that's very useful in a highly developed market system where there's lots of chips on the table, and I happen to be good at that game. Ted Williams wrote a book called The Science of Hitting, and in it he had a picture of himself at bat and the strike zone broken into, I think, 77 squares. And he said if he waited for the pitch that was really in his sweet spot, he would bat 400, and if he had to swing at something on the lower corner, he would probably bat 235. And in investing, I'm in a no-called strike business, which is the best business you can be in. I can look at 1,000 different companies, and I don't have to be right on every one of them, or even 50 of them. So I can pick the ball I want to hit. And the trick in investing is just to sit there and watch pitch after pitch go by and wait for the one right in your sweet spot.
On my YouTube show, someone asked if I agreed with Peter Lynch's advice to invest in what you know and keep it simple. You bet your ass I agree. Here's a fun fact. Over the last 3 years, you could have made 5 times your money in Chipotle stock. Chipotle! They make burritos! How about Boston Beer Company? Over the last 5 years, you could have made 7 times your money. If you were young in college, maybe you would have seen that people were starting to drink hard seltzers. Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, but we all understand the concept of booze. Now, if you're gonna buy beer stocks, of course, you gotta have pizza in there too. Over the last 10 years, Domino's up 2,000%. Over 20 times your money. Burritos, beer, and pizza. You could have gotten rich off that. Yet people insist on buying complete dog shit that they know nothing about. I am not a genius. I try to stick with what I know, alright? Peace.
What is a circle of competence? Your circle of competence is what you understand without you even knowing you understand it. For example, if you think about what you're passionate about, for me, it's sports, investing, eating healthy, working out. Next, if you think about what you spend your money on, I spend my money on Chipotle burritos. Chipotle, right there, is a stock. I spend my money on sports clothing. Nike, a stock. I spend my money on Vans and Odd Future. Where do I get that? Zoomies, that's a stock. I spend my money on a gym membership. I look at gyms. Planet Fitness, that's a stock. This is a very good exercise for you to use to come up with a list of companies that you understand already without you even knowing you understand it.
Here's how to understand your circle of competence, a useful framework to help you improve your odds of success in life and business. The idea is that if you want to improve your odds of success, you have to be honest with yourself and figure out where you've got an edge, and to define that perimeter of your circle of competence. The essential question to ask yourself is, where should you devote your limited time to achieve the most success? You don't have to be an expert in everything, just great within your defined circle. The size of that circle is not very important, but knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. Of course, over time, you can work to expand that circle, but never fool yourself about where it stands today, and never be afraid to say, I don't know.
Here's a good investing trait that you should follow. Invest into companies you already buy products from. For example, you can invest into Apple. But how do you exactly invest into the companies you already buy products from? I'm gonna tell you that right now. First, you wanna see if the company's publicly traded on the stock market. In this case, we're using Apple stock for example. As you can see, Apple is publicly traded on the stock market, which means you can buy shares of the company and own a small percentage of it. So instead of buying a new Apple product, you can invest money into Apple stock and make money from the people buying the products. But you should know if the company's profitable or not. Here's a way you can do that. You want to look at the company's financial statements. This is how you'll know if the company's making money or not. Follow for more awesome content like this.
It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I don't know a thing about. I just stay away from those. So I stay within what I call my circle of competence. And Tom Watson said it best. He said, I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. Well, I try and stay around those spots, and I just don't have a problem if somebody says, you're wrong on something. I go back and look at the facts, and I think that really is much more important, frankly, than having a few points of IQ or having an extra course or two in school or anything of the sort. You need emotional stability.
I heard a great quote about not investing in things that you don't understand. There's a lot of hype right now around real estate, cryptocurrency, and things like Amazon automation. The fact of the matter is, if you don't understand the inner workings, how it all comes together and all the moving pieces with any of these three, you can absolutely get clobbered. So do your due diligence, make sure you know how it works, or you might end up losing money that you had no intention of losing.
It's a hugely important thing, knowing the edge of your, it's hardly a competence if you don't know the edge of it. You know, if you have a misapprehension regarding your own competency, that means you lack competency. You're going to make terrible mistakes. So hardly anything is, I think you got to constantly measure what you achieve against what other people have achievement, and you have to keep being determinedly rational and avoiding a lot of self-delusion. But after a lifetime of observing it, I think the tendency to be pretty rational about one's own competency is largely genetic. I think people like Warren and I were just born this way. Now, it took a lot of education, but I think we were born with the right temperament to do what we did. And I have no way of taking you back and rebirthing you.
And why is there so little healthcare in the Berkshire portfolio? And I mean, isn't there something that, can you comment on that?
I think we don't understand it well enough, and we don't like a lot that we do understand.
Ted Williams wrote a book called The Science of Hitting, and in it he had a picture of himself at bat and the strike zone broken into, I think, 77 squares. And he said if he waited for the pitch that was really in his sweet spot, he would bat 400, and if he had to swing at something on the lower corner, he would probably bat 235. And in investing, I'm in a no-called strike business, which is the best business you can be in. I can look at 1,000 different companies, and I don't have to be right on every one of them or even 50 of them. So I can pick the ball I want to hit. And the trick in investing is just to sit there and watch pitch after pitch go by and wait for the one right in your sweet spot. And if people are yelling, swing you bum, ignore them. There's a temptation for people to act far too frequently in stocks simply because they're so liquid. Over the years, you develop a lot of filters. And I do know what I call my circle of competence. So I stay within that circle, and I don't worry about things that are outside that circle. Defining what your game is, where you're going to have an edge, is enormously important.
Okay, so that was really good information there from Warren and Charlie. I really like how Warren broke it down, circle of competence, and how he explained it through the baseball analogy. That was very interesting to learn that. So when I think of circle of competence, it's just really simple. You know, just invest in what you know and don't invest in what you don't know, because that's when you can make a lot of mistakes in the stock market and you can lose a lot of money. So I believe, you know, just keep things really, really simple. You know, so for example, if you work in technology, you know the companies within that space, right? Microsoft, Google, Amazon. You may be able to recognize some up and coming companies like Shopify, that sort of thing. Or maybe you're in the healthcare and you can invest in things like Abbott Labs or, you know, Johnson & Johnson, that sort of thing, because that's within your circle of competence. But, you know, as time goes on and you read about more industries, then it becomes easier to invest in different spaces as you learn more and more. So you don't need to go invest in everything, just invest in what you know and keep it simple, okay, at the end of the day. So that's all I'm going to add to it. If there's any comments you'd like to put down below, or if you'd like to hit the like button and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to grow the channel here, and that would be great. Okay, so we'll see you on the next episode.